We're going to continue by creating the area around the grille and then filling in the hood area, as well as adding in some crease lines to make this part look a little bit better. So we're going to press 1 to go into front view, tab to go into edit mode. We're going to select this vertex here and then do Shift E to duplicate and just bring it over to about here. Then we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring it over on the X axis until it merges at the center. Then we're just going to bring it up to match the curve of this part of the car. And we're going to select this vertex, E to extrude, bring it over. And then we're going to do E to extrude again, bring it over. And then E to extrude one last time. This vertex is actually going to get merged over to here. So with this selected, you're going to hold Shift, select this one, do Alt M, and choose at last. And I'm actually just going to reposition these a little bit better to be closer to what I want. Once that's done, you're going to select this vertex, hold Control, select this one so you have all these except for that one. And then we're just going to grab it on the Y-axis, hold Control, and snap it to this point. So right now they're all at the same Y value. And then we're just going to hold Shift and select this point so we have all these selected. We're going to do 3 for side view and Z for wireframe. So this part of the car is actually angled, and you can see that if you look at the picture here. You can see the bottom is closer to the wheel, and then it kind of angles forward a bit. So we want to make sure that this angles forward a bit with the bottom being closer to the wheel and the top being further away. So in order to do that, the best way in this case is just go to side view, then do Alt, Control, Shift, and S. And this will do shear, and we can use that to angle this. So we're going to angle this similar to how the reference has this angled. So if you see here, this is kind of the angle that the reference has right here, and I'm trying to match a similar angle here. And then we're just going to bring the bottom forward until it matches up with the reference. So you see here, now the bottom is basically matching up with the reference. And now we're just going to start connecting things together. So I'm going to get out of wireframe by pressing Z. And I'm going to select these 3. I'm just going to press F to make a face. Select these 2, then press F twice. That'll fill those in. Then we're going to select these 2 here, and we're going to do E to extrude. Then I'm going to hold Control and snap to this point. And then I'm just going to left click and drag this in a bit to move this outer vertex more inward on the X-axis. So we're going to repeat that. We're just going to do E to extrude, hold Control, snap it there, left click on the X-axis, bring it in some more, and just repeat that a few more times. E to extrude, hold Control, snap it there, bring it in. E to extrude, hold Control, snap it there, bring it in. Finally, E to extrude, hold Control, snap it there, bring it in. So you should try to kind of match the same shape that we have on the car. So if it's kind of curving out like this, so you kind of want this to have a similar curvature. So this inward curve, or this curve here, should be similar to this curve here. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that's kind of what we're trying to achieve, where it has that same sort of curvature. Then we're just going to fill all this in. We're going to select these 3. We're going to press F. We're going to select these 2, and just press F a bunch of times until all this is filled in. Then we're going to do A twice. We're going to do Control N to recalculate the normals. Tab into Object Mode, go to Tools, and turn on Smooth Shading, so we now have smooth shading. So we do see some minor shading issues here. And in order to fix that, really all we have to do is add in a nice edge loop going down here. So we're just going to do Control R, we're going to left click and drag this over. It's not going to go all the way through because we have a triangle here. The other thing you might want to do is while you're left clicking and dragging it, or while you're doing Q and sliding it, you just going to want to do E and then F if you need to, so the red dot's over here, so it's all a nice even line. So just do Q, then E. If you need to, press F so the red dot's there, and just make sure you have a nice even line going through here. And then we're just going to use a knife cut tool to make the rest of this. We're going to do K for the knife cut tool, left click on this vertex, bring it down here, left click, and then finally you're going to want it to actually end on this vertex, so just left click there, press enter. So you want it to end on this vertex down here. And you're also going to want to join these 2 together, so select this one, shift select this one, Alt M at last, so you only have one vertex there. If you want to, you can do G twice, slide this one in a bit more, and you can do the same here, just do G twice, select the vertex, do G twice, and that will adjust how far out the shading is going to go. And then lastly, we also have a little shading problem here, not really that bad, but we can add in another line right here to help correct that shading problem as well. So for that, we're just going to go back to edit mode. We're going to do K for the knife cut tool, left click on this vertex, go down here, and we're going to left click, go down here, left click again, and you're going to want to end on this vertex, so just left click, press enter, and that should be that. Then we're going to take this vertex, G twice, slide it up, so it should be sliding up towards this one. Just do G twice, kind of make this more of a straight line here. And if you want to, you can select this one, G twice, slide it down some, so it's a bit of a tighter crease line now. And lastly, we want to adjust the curvature of the hood. We can see in this picture that the center of the hood actually is pretty much a lot higher up than the outside of the car. So this is the outside of the car, it goes along like this, and the hood starts out quite a bit higher than that, and then it goes down sort of like this is kind of how you can imagine it. So it starts out higher and then it curves out and goes lower. So we notice like a little bit before halfway it needs to be popping up, and then it starts to get quite a bit higher, and then it just sort of flattens out a little at this part, but it does have to come up quite a bit. So for our model, we're just going to go back to this and we're going to select some of these. So these ones that are closer to here, as we saw, actually need to be higher up than the side. So right here needs to be higher up than the side. So these right here are much further past that point where it needs to be higher up. Like you can actually see it right here. I think this probably starts a little bit too early on this reference. It has it closer to the front of the wheel. And right here it's more like at the side is what it looks like, or more like at the center, I mean. And this reference shows it starting a little bit before that. So it should be more like right here is what I'm thinking. But either way, these vertices right here, so if we take these, so we have this one, and then all these across here, these should be higher up than the outside ones. So if you go to side view, these should be like up here, more like that. And then these other ones, again, except for that one, should be up here more. And then you've got these, which is really like, this is the part where it starts sticking out just a little bit, not over here, like it's more right where this is. So this should be maybe like this, and then these over here probably have to come up some too to reflect that. So if we take these and just move them up slightly, that's probably pretty good, because you have this part sticking up, it's a little bit before the halfway point, and here it's a little bit before the halfway point where you can start to see it from side view. So I think that's reasonably accurate. I think their drawing is a little bit off. This goes a bit too far. So that's probably a bit closer, in my opinion, to how it actually should be. And we could even possibly bring some of these up a little bit higher as well if we wanted to, just to match up with the rest of the curvature, because we moved all these up. So if we move these up a little bit, it'll just help to keep a similar curvature throughout the whole thing. So I think actually I want to bring some of these down. So I think I want to bring this one down a little, and maybe bring some of these down a little more too, and just leave the center a little bit higher. So we'll leave this one a little bit higher, just to kind of make that a bit smoother of a curve right there, so it's not, see how it's kind of jagged? I kind of want to eliminate that a little so it's not so much of a jagged curve there. You want more of a smooth curve if possible. So I don't really want that up as high as it is. So it'll be a little less accurate as far as how far out it goes, because, well, actually that still looks okay. It's not terrible. So that's going to be fine. I think that looks reasonably good. So we're just going to save this here. Just go to File and Save. Thank you to our awesome Patreon supporters. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter yourself, head on over to patreon.com/StephenBrooks. Thank you for your support.